Hope takes on Kalamazoo this weekend, homecoming weekend for Hope. And to be completely honest with you, I think this is a game that Hope just runs away with, to be completely honest with you. Both teams are coming off of a bye week. Hope going into the bye week got a win against Shrine. Kalamazoo coming off of the bye week got a 47-44 loss to Olivet. Now, do I think that was Kalamazoo's best game that they played this year? Nowhere close. But when you give up 47 points to an Olivet team, I've talked about this Olivet team. I think offensively, this Olivet team can score. Defensively was my major issue for that Olivet team. When you give up 47 points to this Olivet team, this Hope offense is going to be much better than the Olivet team that you faced. And you end up having a really difficult loss to an Olivet team. First ever win for Olivet this year. You obviously have the bye week to get things correct. And I do think that Kalamazoo is going to be able to attack this Hope defense a little bit. This Hope defense maybe not as dominant as they were last year, but still really good defense. It's just I feel like this Hope team overall is not only much better than Olivet, but I just think is much more talented. I think this Hope offense is going to be able to put up points. Now, I know that Kalamazoo only gives up about 71 yards per game on the ground. I know 178 through the air, a little bit more than that. This Hope offense averages almost 500 yards of offense in a single game. 300 through the air, 200 on the ground. Like, this Hope offense is going to be able to put up points. Now, it's truly going to be about what can KZoo do offensively against this Hope defense. Hope has had a little bit more of an issue through the air than on the ground. But even then, like, this is a Kalamazoo offense that does average over 300 yards through the air, but they don't do a ton of running the ball either. Like, they only average about 120 yards. I think this Hope defense is going to be able to get pressure on Kalamazoo. I think this Hope defense is going to force Kalamazoo to make mistakes, even though that is something that Kalamazoo has actually not had any issues with whatsoever. If you want to talk about a quarterback that has done a really good job of protecting the ball, you have to talk about Dawson Scoopin. 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 64% completion. He has been really good at protecting the ball. So if Hope can force a few turnovers, which they have been successful at doing, that's going to put this Kalamazoo behind the 8 ball even more than I think they have going into it. Now, I have talked about Kalamazoo. I've talked about some of the really players that stand out to me. Lucas Hannafin is going to be a guy that Hope's going to have to continue to keep an eye on for. I've talked a lot about him. But you also have Aaron Zekman as well. 365 yards, 5 touchdowns on the year. You really have him kind of stepping up, especially when you have a Kalamazoo offense that, for a lot of it through the air, was Lucas first. Now you really have Aaron starting to step up, which obviously will help Kalamazoo offensively against this Hope defense. Dawson Scoopin, the quarterback, is actually also the leading rusher for Kalamazoo. They do have Connor Bell as well. So Kalamazoo does have some playmakers on this team. But even with that in itself, I don't think that's enough for Kalamazoo to go into Hope, especially on homecoming, especially coming off of a bye week, with still goals ahead. This is a Hope team that is ranked 18th in the country. They did lose to Elma. There's a real possibility that they might necessarily win the MIAA, but if they win out, they're in a real conversation for a playoff spot, and it's about taking it week by week for Hope. I know Coach Jersma is going to continue to address that. This is a real opportunity for Hope coming off of a bye week to get off to a faster start. I've talked about how teams have been typically the ones that have scored first. I think if you're a Hope, and especially a Hope player, Hope fan, I think you're going to want to get off to a little bit better start. Maybe not have a touchdown and go down 7-0 in an opening game. But that truly hasn't really hurt Hope this year outside of Elma, and they had a real good chance of winning that game as well. So even if they go down early, you know that this Hope offense is going to be able to get going, running the ball, AJ Martell passing the ball with just so many wide receivers, so many tight ends. This Hope offense is just so dynamic and loaded and has so many different playmakers on this team that I think it's truly going to make it difficult for this Kalamazoo defense to get stops. Now, they have been a little bit better. If what happened against Olivet did not happen, I would think and would believe that maybe this KZoo defense can make a difference in this game. They've been pretty good outside of that. But going into the bye week, when you have that type of performance, there's only a couple ways to really truly take a look at yourself. It's either about getting motivated, pushing yourself, realizing, hey, we need to get better in these places, or this is truly what this KZoo defense is like. And I don't think that's necessarily the case, even though I do think Hope's going to be able to score, and I think Hope's going to be able to win this game, especially at home and in front of a home crowd that is going to be absolutely packed with a lot to still play for. So, yeah, that's really my thoughts on this game. I think Hope wins this game. I think Kalamazoo goes into Hope. I think they obviously give a lot of fight. I think they play close at the very beginning, but I think Hope has a little bit too much offensively, and I think the defense will finally get KZoo to make a few mistakes, which we haven't done all year. If they don't make those mistakes, maybe things can get really interesting, but Hope has done a pretty good job of not only getting pressure on the quarterback, but forcing the quarterback to make mistakes and forcing fumbles as well. That's been truly a calling card for Hope the last couple of years. They're really good at getting turnovers, and they continue to do so. So I think it's going to be a Hope win in this one. A big game for them, big game for Kalamazoo. Lots to still talk about throughout the season. Obviously, we'll talk about that as well. But just want to talk about this game between both of these teams. Both of these teams are looking forward to their next win, looking forward to getting out of the bye week and kind of getting towards the back end of MIAA play. So let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Even if you don't, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment, or let me know if you disagree in the comments as well. I'm going to be really interested to see what happens in this game. I'm excited to see how both of these teams really turn out after a bye week, to see if they're ready for that second half of MIAA play. But thanks for tuning in, and I will recap this game later this week, early next week.